Hello, my name is Michael Naring. I live at 174 Union Street, and I was in the RHS class of 2013. I was also the salutatorian of my class at Bergen Community College this past year, and I'm currently a 4.0 student at Rutgers Business School. I'm here to talk about DECA, something related to the teacher's contract, run by two teachers who couldn't be here today, Mr. Sean Case and Mrs. Karen Mendez. These two teachers spent tens, if not hundreds of hours preparing hundreds of students for this competition outside of the classroom. This competition and those teachers are why I am a business major. This competition is part of why I have been so successful as a student. I can't imagine Ridgewood High School without DECA. There are many programs like DECA with teachers like Mr. Case and Mrs. Mendez at Ridgewood High School. They don't have to put that extra effort. Please think about that. Thank you.
How appropriate that I should follow, speaking of DECA. My name is Laura Moore, although I'm sure all of you know me. I've been a resident and taxpayer in Ridgewood for the past 27 years and currently serve as a guidance counselor at RHS and former DECA advisor. I relocated to Ridgewood in 1989 with my 18-month-old son, eager to start a new chapter in my life as a member of the highly esteemed Ridgewood High School faculty. Rarely did an opportunity pass that my mom and dad failed to comment with pride that their daughter was a member of the faculty at Ridgewood High School. I shared that pride, and I still share that pride. In the fall of 1989, I entered Ridgewood High School as a teacher, eager to make an impact on the lives of my students, while at the same time, they were making an impact on my heart. After 17 years of teaching in the Texas school system, I didn't know what tenure was, nor did I care. I, like the rest of my colleagues, knew that I was good at what I did, and I taught with the goal of making an impact on your children, not with the goal of becoming tenured. I stand before you tonight not only as a teacher, but as a professional. And I attribute the transition from teacher to professional to two things: the influence and effect of my colleagues and the association I've had with your children. During my years at Ridgewood High School, I've served as a business, marketing, economics, and accounting teacher, DECA advisor with a small stipend, DECA academic coach with no pay, but I worked every lunch hour with my Quiz Bowl team, of which some of your children were members. DECA travel agent with no pay, accounting, sports and entertainment marketing, advanced marketing curriculum writer with no pay, RHS ambassador advisor currently with no pay, college letters of recommendation writer, 72 this year, with no overtime pay. I spent the entire summer of 2009 working with Georgia Abrunzo to migrate and recreate data from SASE to Skyward, and to set up Skyward for implementation in August of 2009 for no pay. I volunteered because Ridgewood High School needed me, and I cared about having a master schedule ready for students by the end of August. It was only after the fact that Georgia put in a time card for me, so I did receive partial compensation, but that's not why I did it. I'm only a small example of what your Ridgewood Public Schools faculty and staff do for no pay. You say that you respect us as professionals, but the way you show your respect trumps your words. I find it quite disheartening to hear that your show of respect for us as professionals includes a 0.0 salary increase for this current year and a 0.0 salary increase for the top of the guide next year. And I wonder if any of the new kindergarten teachers will be willing to stay if they get a 0.0 salary increase. A substandard health plan. Is that how you show what we are worth to you? increase contributions to our health insurance premium when we are already at Tier 4. Is that how you show what we are worth to you? Fiscal irresponsibility and not even budgeting for a new contract. And then once negotiations started, frivolously spending money to avoid spending it on your employees. Is that how you show what we're worth to you? 2 letters to a good part of the village of Ridgewood with the explicit goal of communicating your position and your agenda. This is a publicly funded entity by public taxes, the board of directors elected by the public taxpayers. And you used our public communication system to communicate your position and your agenda. That sounds like bullying to me, and it's not the ethical behavior we are teaching your children. Again, my name is Laura Moore, and I'm not just a number on your spreadsheet. I'm a human being who also has bills, mortgages, taxes, supports elderly parents or supported elderly parents, college loans. You know me as more than a number. You know me as Laura Moore, and that's what's so disheartening to me. I'm asking you to show, not just say, that you respect us as professionals and human beings. I'm asking for you to return our enthusiasm to us so that we can truly honor this profession. The education of our children is at stake, and the future of our district is at stake. Thank you.
My name is Chuck Johnson. My family and I have lived at 467 Colonial Road for 30 years. My mom and dad moved here in 1951. I went all the way through the Ridgewood School District. I'm married to a Ridgewood High School graduate, although I'm not allowed to share with you her graduating class. I am the father of a 2001 RHS graduate, a 2008 RHS graduate, a 2012 RH graduate, and I've been teaching wellness education at Ridgewood High School since 1984, and I just finished my 32nd year as the head football coach. To say my family and I are invested and entrenched in this community would be an understatement. I've come here to the podium tonight as an alum, as a teacher, as a townsperson, and as a parent to ask you, the board members, to rethink your leadership role. Specifically to think about, discuss, and reflect upon the atmosphere which has been created throughout our district as a result of your negotiation strategy. In 1984, when I was appointed to my 2 positions after spending 10 years of teaching in Bogota, I was immediately aware of the wonderful relationship which existed at the time between the board and the teachers. The relationship was one of mutual respect, one of cooperation, one of what we are in this together. We all worked together towards the goal. The goal, of course, as it is today, was that of educating the children of the community at the highest possible level. It was a true partnership, a wonderful partnership of employer and employee. The beneficiaries of that partnership were the kids. These were the days when Ridgewood's educational tradition of excellence was established and it flourished. I remember in the late 70s and 80s when I did my grad work at Montclair State, every single professor I had, it seemed, identified Ridgewood as a lighthouse district, as a model district, as the example of outstanding public education. And even though I had grown up here and lived my whole life here, it wasn't until I became a professional here that I truly appreciated what was here. It was obvious to all that that excellence was a result of many things, but the foundation of the excellence was the tremendous working relationship enjoyed by the board and the teachers. It truly pains me to say, but I believe that that relationship today is fractured. I'm asking you as the leaders of this district to take a long, hard look at your leadership role, at your leadership strategies. Please take the time to consider these questions. Is your leadership strategy working? Are the actions of this board contributing to that fractured relationship? The atmosphere of cooperation, respect, and professionalism I found here when I started have been replaced by an atmosphere of distrust, contestuousness, adversarialness, and a lack of teamwork. Leadership of any organization is critical. We can all agree on that. But what are the critical elements of leadership? Where does great leadership start? Whose responsibility is it? About 25 years ago, I attended a conference and heard the great Joe Paterno speak on the topic of leadership. He said something that night that has stayed with me my entire career. Joe mentioned a placard he kept on his desk as a daily reminder for him as he went about his business of leading the program. The phrase said, "Attitudes are better than rules." Attitudes are better than rules. What that meant to Joe Pa, as the leader of the Penn State program, was that he was responsible for creating, above all else, the most positive attitude for his program. A simple concept, but a multifaceted in its execution. In my wellness classes, it is apparent upon me to create a positive attitude because that is what the students function best with. As the head football coach, it is inherent upon me to create a positive attitude for the program. That is how the program functions best. And in my family, as the dad, I have worked to create a positive attitude, as positive attitude in our family as possible, because that's how a family functions best. It was those same positive attitudes of cooperation, respect, and teamwork that created this tradition of excellence we're so proud of. No team, no business, no school district can function at high levels of excellence with attitudes of distrust, disrespect, and confrontation. That, unfortunately, is the environment we live with today, an environment created by, I believe, your operational policies and your negotiation strategies. You, the Board of Education, are the leaders. You're responsible for the attitudes that permeates this district. You're the role models. You set the tone. Please reconsider your negotiation strategies. Show the teachers they are the most important asset that we have. Show them you respect them. Show them they are valued. I cannot hear what you say. What you do speaks so loudly. Thank you.
My name is Meg Schaefer. I'm a Ridgewood resident, and in addition to being a grade advisor and English teacher, I'm the artistic director of the New Players Company. I'm here this evening to address the concept of value. Specifically, I'm here to talk about the value of time. Time dedicated to providing rich experiences to students outside the classroom that in many cases are not simply life-enhancing, not simply life-changing, but potentially, and I do believe this, life-saving. The New Players Company is just one of many organizations at Ridgewood High School that offers a particular population a place to explore their identity and begin to understand who they are and where they fit in. For some, it offers a safe place to express their true selves. For others, it offers a deep sense of belonging. For almost all new players, it offers bonds of friendship built on shared experience and effort, bonds of friendship that often last a lifetime. Theater is an intensely collaborative enterprise which prepares students to be contributing members of society. They learn to work together, each bringing his or her own particular skills to bear. They learn that a superior product demands hours of hard work and dedication. And through embodying characters, they develop that most essential and sadly greatly underrated attribute of empathy. But I realize that in today's educational world, such attributes have little merit. Only that which can be measured, quantified, objectively tested has value. I recognize that I am branding myself as a dinosaur but by insisting that we concern ourselves with students' social, emotional, and ethical well-being, rather than viewing them merely as data producers whose sole function is to perform well on whatever test is the latest vogue, or to measure up well against the latest generation's standards. So for those of you who need hard evidence of value, I submit to you that dozens, possibly hundreds of former new players are now making their living in the performing arts. They are writing, directing, stage managing, dancing, producing, acting, and yes, even teaching. This season alone, 5 new players have been featured on Broadway. 3 actors, 1 director, 2 lighting designers. All of them got their start in the Little Theater. But let's get back to the issue of time. The New Players Company is in continuous production from September through July. During those 11 months, we produced 9 senior company shows and 7 junior company shows for our middle school students. Each of those productions involves hundreds of man-hours from producers, directors, designers, music directors, tech directors, sound engineers, choreographers, stage managers, etc. While the school board provides roughly 20% of our operating cost in the form of particular stipends, the New Players Company, its Student Leadership Council, and its Adult MPC Association Board raise the other nearly 80% through box office and fundraising. We pay all stipends not covered by the board. These include our technical director, producer, and designers, among others. We pay for every piece of lumber, every drop of paint, every stitch of costumes. In addition, through our fundraising efforts, we raised the money to significantly upgrade the sound system in the Little Theater and to buy a new state-of-the-art light board. These are enhancements to a district facility, which are enjoyed by many groups beyond the new players. During the 2014-2015 school year and summer season, the new players' contribution in the form of our operating costs totaled more than $190,000. All of this takes a huge investment of time. I and the rest of the new players staff have always been happy to give that time. We recognize that as employees of a school and nonprofit entity, we cannot expect to earn what we would in the private sector for our expertise and time, but we are mission driven. Until recently, I always believed that this sense of mission was shared by the Board of Education, but my view has changed. I recognize now that however much member of the board may publicly state how much they value us and our time, their private views are, in fact, reflected in their refusal to negotiate and to offer any tangible evidence that they care about the Ridgewood teachers and staff. I can only hope that anything I or my colleagues say at this podium can impel you to think long and hard about what this protracted process is doing to our morale and to our sense that we are respected members of this community. Thank you.
My name is Craig Mahler, and I'm here tonight to attempt to bring to light the amount of time, energy, and emotions teachers, coaches, and supervisors give to their student athletes or groups, and therefore why we are worth every penny and should be supported. Since 1995, I have served the student athletes of Ridgewood for 44 seasons as the varsity boys soccer coach, assistant girls soccer coach, assistant swim coach, and assistant softball coach. On average, a season lasts about 3 months, with a practice time traditionally from 3:30 to 6. However, my professionalism does not stop at the end of our practice, at the end of our game, or at the end of my last paycheck. With my belief that coaches are teachers first, the amount of time, energy, and emotions we give our athletes goes on and on. We teach through the game, not just to the game. These highly trained professionals behind me put in hours upon hours into their craft and need to be financially supported and appropriately by this board. My goal is to give each student or child under my supervision the very best that I can. Because of my belief, I voluntarily expand my responsibilities past practices, games, and beyond the season. Outside of practices and games, we attend camps with kids, summer club games, physically monitor off-season workouts, attend and run parent meetings, lead booster meetings, attend league and state meetings, organize fundraisers for program and worthy causes, contact colleges on behalf of athletes, communicate constantly with parents and players throughout the year, volunteer to run youth clinics, give up family time to scout games, run practices, or attend other teams' contests, run alumni games, organize and run field team trips, and volunteer to run tournaments, among other things. However, most important, we establish strong positive relationships with our athletes to help them through personal problems, college choices, family tragedies, and in some small way, help them mature into adults. None of these things are left on the field for my fellow coaches and I. All of these things follow me home at night. Personally, I have spent thousands of dollars attending conferences for all of the sports that I coach and receiving national diplomas for some of these. I hope you can come to understand that our job is not from 3:30 to 6 and is not for 3 months. They go on throughout the year and past the times we are paid for, and we want to continue to do these things. We want to continue to make these programs athlete-friendly. However, the current situation is starting to leave me with the impression that some of this extra time and the things that I give are not fully needed or valued. I am a family man first, a teacher second, and a coach third. I depend upon my teaching salary and my health benefits to allow me to provide my athletes and students the best program possible while providing for my family. With the current climate, I have come to the conclusion that my extra time as a teacher, coach, may not be fully appreciated by this board, and therefore the voluntary time, effort, financial support, and professional development needs to be reevaluated. To keep this short, I have one final question. And I do appreciate the fact that after the last time I talked, you responded back by email. I appreciate that. I have one question for this board. What is it in the budget line that I'm competing with for salary and the unfair burden of Chapter 78? What is it on that same budget line that is more important than those? Thanks.
Hello, my name is Allison Reeg. I'm a special education social studies teacher at Ridgewood High School. I'm also a boys tennis coach and a club advisor. I really wanted you to take a moment tonight to just reflect back on some memories that you've had while you were in high school. What are some things that pretty much came to your mind? A sporting event, a pep rally, a club activity? I think most of us believe that when we look back, that these memories that we find most often circulate around sports and activities that we were involved in, and the pride that we had for those activities, and the fun that came from them. When I first became, or even thought about becoming a teacher, a major contributing factor to that was that I was going to be able to coach. Tennis is one of my passions, and sharing that love for the sport with my players is of the utmost importance to me. And I've been very fortunate to be able to do that at Ridgewood High School over the past 4 years. Some of my fondest memories are actually of my first year on the courts, freezing with my freshman boys tennis players. But coaches don't only teach their players their sport. We teach our players character. We teach them how to win and lose gracefully, triumph in the face of adversity, how to respect themselves and their teammates. And many of my players know that if they consistently do this on a regular basis, that homemade banana bread is usually in their future. So these moments that we spend with the players are really priceless. And it's something that's really amazing. And when you see a coach interact with their players, that it's an amazing connection that they really have. And just with the coaching staff that's here at Ridgewood High School and the programs that we do run, I feel really fortunate to be a part of that. In addition to my passion for sports and tennis specifically, I deeply care about the environment. I'm the club advisor for Students for Environmental Action, and over the past 4 years, we've continued to accomplish many goals that previous advisors have accomplished in the past, such as the solar panels and things like that. But I've applied and received grants over the past 3 years to expand and improve upon our recycling program at the high school. I've attended countless REACT meetings in town, getting to know the members of the town team very well so I can really try to create a cohesive message to the community through the high school and kind of associating with REACT. My students present projects at Super Science Saturday and at Ridgewood's annual Earth Day. My club members really have had an opportunity to feel like they can make a difference because we really do our best on a daily basis to accomplish our goals. I came from a district that I consider broken. Pessimist teachers who did the bare minimum to get by because of the broken relationship that they had with their board of ed. After I experienced that, I knew that I wanted to be in a district with a board of ed who represented and supported its teachers. I believed that place was Ridgewood, and I still do believe that Ridgewood can be that place. I'm asking for you to take into serious consideration the amazing and talented staff that you have and view a fair, mutually agreeable contract with equitable contributions towards health insurance as a long-term investment into the people that have made this district so great. Having really just entered into the profession recently myself, please don't take my view of the board of ed. I care about fostering a positive relationship between us, and I want to continue to do so. So I really need you to sell this contract.
Dear respected members of the board, respected colleagues, and dear community members, my name is Medha Kirtane. I currently serve as a teacher of the Social Studies Department at Ridgewood High School, the head coach of the girls tennis program, and the faculty advisor to the Asian Festival, which is soon to unveil next week. As relevant, I feel, is that I'm a proud alumna as a Travell Tiger, member of the BF community, and RHS. It is with that background that I stand here, beseeching all of us collectively to fairly and urgently settle our contract. I know how much you care. I see how much you care in so many different ways. But like we tell our students and children, it's not what we feel alone that matters. It's also how we express those feelings that matter. Consistency is important. We all want the next generation to develop a civic conscience. As a teacher, a coach, or advisor, I believe in the credo of our mission statement that I've read over and over again on our website, that it is my job to, quote, provide a rich and challenging learning environment, enabling my students to maximize their unique potentials, to become lifelong learners and productive, responsible citizens. And at the front of our mission statement, we espouse a commitment to, quote, a tradition of excellence and innovation in partnership with the community. But listening to the conflicting narratives and the conflicting facts on both sides of this complicated narrative, I wonder if we are, in fact, practicing what we preach. I returned home to Ridgewood, a less heterogeneous place than my existence in an urban escape, because a young girl years ago in one of our middle schools convinced me that Ridgewood students need help too. It was a compelling argument from a girl of a racial minority like me, who implored me that one more face of a person of color in front of a classroom, at the helm of an athletic team, or as an advisor makes a world of a difference. That was not something I had the benefit of experiencing at Ridgewood. And I contend we are not going to recruit qualified teachers, coaches, advisors of any level of competence, of any background, who want to impact this next generation if we cannot provide them with the certainty of a contract that matches their aptitudes and effort. As a former Ridgewood graduate, it was with pride and trepidation both that I consented in inheriting the competitive tennis program from my own coach, Paul. I felt the same way about inheriting the Asian Festival, as I remembered how, as a little dancer in kindergarten at Travell School, my self-esteem fed off of the pulsing Indian rhythms that my feet were allowed to dance to at Travell, and later our BF and RHS under the encouraging watch of Travis Jackson and Helen Aslanides. It was no different in the teaching arena. Where I remember as a student, I craved learning under the tutelage of impassioned, civic-minded people who challenged me to live the best of what I learned. And I'm so fortunate now that so many of them stand behind me as colleagues and always as mentors. The educators here inspired me with their pride in their profession and in this place, and their positivity fed my desires to conjoin my value system with the mission of our schools. Now, as an aunt to little Travell Tigers in the very schools that I attended, and someone who feels so lucky to have become re-enmeshed in the athletic, artistic, and academic fabric of this system, I take pride in what happens in this town. Our fine reputation has long preceded us, but I wonder if this new reputation of unresolved conflicts, contracts, and conflicts is sure to follow. Limited funds and burgeoning demands on our social and financial infrastructure can only lead to more conflict. It's going to impact, like it does our contract, possibly the administrator contract and the next teacher contract and the one after that. I admire and appreciate everyone on all sides who have worked tirelessly, more so than even me, to resolve this issue. But we seem to be failing ourselves and our youth. I truly believe we are one in our efforts to prepare our youth for the society that they will soon own. The longer this disagreement rages, the more we foment disillusionment in the symbiotic role that we should play with one another. I fear we're collectively becoming poor role models for our youth. We challenge them to address the inefficiencies of our decaying and gridlocked democracy in DC and abroad, in the nation, and we try to inspire them to find their moral voice and build their character, to rectify a model built on positive change and reconciliation. And yet we do not seem, in this small village, capable of meeting the very challenges that present themselves to us. I believe we all need to reassess whether each of our choices and actions ensure that we maintain and promote the civility that we expect of ourselves and our students. We are capable of being a team, but we have to become better at assessing our priorities. And like our mission statement suggests, innovating within our financial limitations to promote the rich partnerships we have sown in the history of this town is most important. That will make us the role models that we should be for our youth. And as people clearly dedicated to developing ourselves and our school system, to practice what we all teach will truly be the best lesson and gift we can offer our students in this community. Thank you.
It is now 25:10. If you could keep the comments, because I see a line, to 4 minutes, that would be really helpful. Thank you so much.
Do my best.
Thank you.
My name is Laura Medici Fleming. I've been here before, as you know. I'm a 33-year veteran teacher in the social studies department at Ridgewood High School. Maida does a mean Zumba class also. Oh, she's great. I come before the Board of Education once again to ask you to come to the table to negotiate with the Ridgewood Education Association and reduce the overwhelming burden of the Chapter 78 law, requiring individuals like myself to pay what amounts to 10% of my salary toward my family's health coverage. I am the club advisor to the History Bowl team. We attend 4 tournaments per year, regular weekly practices. The 4th tournament we attend is the National Championship, as long as we qualify. We have already qualified 2 teams so far, 1 varsity, 1 junior varsity. We will attend the National Championship tournament in Washington, D.C., which is 3 full days, the end of April. Last year, our varsity team placed 9th in the nation of 150 teams. This year's varsity team so far has won 3rd place in the New Jersey State Tournament held at Ridgewood High School on January 16th. And we are looking forward to April's tournament. I'm extremely proud of the hard work and dedication these students commit to the team. Having a nationally ranked team gives a Ridgewood kid another way to stand out to a college admissions officer. I'm also the advisor to the Political Discussion Club, which meets weekly at unit lunch to discuss current events in the political world. All political views are welcome, and I emphasize civil discourse among the students, much different from some of the adults that we know. And I reinforce that civility with cookies that I bring each week, which they appreciate. As I said, I am an alumna of Ridgewood High School. There are quite a few alumni on the Ridgewood staff, as you know, and you've heard some of them speak this evening. I know the value of a Ridgewood education. I know the value of the Ridgewood faculty. My words seem to fall on deaf ears. Maybe you'll listen to the words of a former chief financial officer who was running for the Board of Education in 2012, and I quote, "The village's education and reputation is the underlying value for most of the homes in this community, and the reason why every voter and resident should be concerned in how we are delivering education. If I were on the board, that is, looking at the contract, I'd focus on the whole range of the contract and not let it boil down to a single issue or two. That's the way to hang up a contract, which they, meaning the board, have. They've hung it up for 9 months past its expiration. We have teachers who are unhappy. It's not a healthy situation in the classroom, with teachers grumpy about their not having a contract," end quote. These are the words of Jim Morgan via Ridgewood Patch, April 16th, 2012. Mr. Morgan, you were right in 2012. It wasn't a healthy situation then, and it's not a healthy situation in 2016. It's not good for the students, it's not good for the teachers and the staff, and it's not good for the reputation of the Ridgewood schools and the village. I hope you will listen to your own advice and negotiate a mutually agreeable settlement with the Ridgewood Education Association.
Good evening. My name is Jackie Hurley. I attended Somerville BF and am a 2006 Ridgewood High School graduate. When I was little, I dreamt of being either a professional soccer player or a teacher when I grew up. Although I am not a professional soccer player, I feel as if both my dreams came true. I'm an elementary teacher in the district and the assistant girls varsity soccer coach for Ridgewood High School. Being a teacher and a coach is more than I could have ever dreamt of. I love spending my days and nights teaching children of all ages, whether we are learning our multiplication facts or how to stop the #1 soccer team in the nation from scoring on us. I always go above and beyond to educate the youth of Ridgewood. As a teacher, I arrive early and stay late. I work countless hours over the weekends. I create meaningful activities which will inspire my students. I help to write curriculum. I attend professional development courses and have started another master's program in order to give my students the best education possible. As a coach, I spend hundreds of hours with my team in the short 3-month season. During preseason, I arrive at the field before 6 a.m. and leave Coach Earing's office 12 hours later. I attend courses to better myself as a coach, and in fact, this June, I will be a nationally qualified soccer coach. I help to run the special needs soccer program in Ridgewood and have involved each and every one of my players over the past 5 seasons to participate in this incredible program. I nominate players for awards and attend the banquets in their honors. I scout teams, and most significantly, I form unbelievable bonds with these young girls and help them in times of need. I love my jobs. But unfortunately, my take-home pay has decreased each year since I began teaching in Ridgewood. I'm struggling to pay my bills and my college loans, and have had to take on multiple tutoring jobs and private coaching opportunities just to stay afloat. If things continue the way they have been, I do not know if I can afford the hundreds of hours I put into coaching. It would crush me, but I may have to find another job or a higher paid position in another town. As a former Ridgewood graduate and now a teacher and coach in the district, I truly understand and appreciate how excellent this community is. We are a tradition of excellence. I know you would not disagree that you have excellent teachers and excellent coaches. However, recently, I have not felt that we have been treated as such. Actions speak louder than words. Please show us that you understand just how excellent we are by negotiating a fair contract. Settle now. Thank you.
Mike Troy, Ridgewood High School, history teacher, basketball coach. Before I begin, I wanted to talk to you about culture. And as I'm sitting here, now this is my second time here, and professionals, teachers and coaches have to validate what we do. I think that speaks volumes as to what the culture that has been made here over the past year. Tonight I speak to you both as Ridgewood High School teacher and the boys varsity basketball coach. I've been in this district since the fall of 2002, and I've witnessed many changes over that time. My first year teaching, a contract year and the worst in memory, led me to go out and take the NYPD and Port Authority exams. And today I believe there will be many young teachers and to-be teachers examining their options as well. In the years that passed, I not once regretted my decision to stay, but our current economic climate, an unfunded pension that may or may not be there when I retire, and annual increases in healthcare costs certainly have made me wonder. As a teacher, a coach, and a leader, I have learned there's nothing more important and more powerful than culture. Every year from November to March, I ask roughly 15 men to sacrifice their time, their bodies, their home life to take part of something bigger than themselves. For these months and much of the summer as well, we are brought together by a single word that is intended to keep us together: family. We break every huddle and end every practice with this simple word: family. This word takes on great meaning because whether we win or lose, we know that we are in this fight together. All of us share in that locker room. All of us that share that locker room see more of each other than our actual families at home, but we do it because we believe in what we're there for. There's a common cause, a common goal, and a mutual respect for each other. This respect is not something I take lightly, and something I try to communicate with my players daily. This respect is not found in whether a kid can dribble or shoot the three, yet is based in responsibility, accountability, and complete dedication to those we stand beside every day. This respect, this belief in the importance of culture is something I hope that they will take with them as students, future employees, future bosses, future husbands, and one day fathers. Coaching is only part of what we all here do. Teaching is only part of what we all here do. And trust me, it is not for the stipend. It is about the relationships and the mark that we leave on all of the students and their lives. Culture is not something that should come and go. Rather, it should endure the trials and tribulations over time. This cannot happen unless you actively work to either preserve what has positively been established or change what you believe is currently in need of overhaul. I ask you tonight, the board, what is it that you value? What is it you hope to preserve, or are you simply looking for change? We claim to have a tradition of excellence, yet you are showing you would rather live off the success of the past administrations, and in doing so, run the risk of tearing down the very foundation we all proudly stand upon. Ask administrators of any building in this district what it is that troubles them. I would bet you that you would not hear about instruction, dedication of faculty, or treatment of students. I would also be willing to bet that you would hear such words as morale and culture. You are the coach of this team, the leaders of this district. You are responsible for the culture. You are responsible for the future of this district, and yet you only see numbers and spout about 2%. Are you willing to risk a tradition and a culture of excellence so you can tell the community you saved them tens of dollars on their taxes? Leadership is not just the ability to see what is before you, but it is also what may lie ahead or around the corner. I am sorry, but this is not leadership. This is simply short-sighted and foolish. What you fail to realize is that we are not an expense. We are an investment in your children's future. Respectfully, Mike Troy.
Good evening, members of the Board of Ed. I'm Stephanie Giganti, class of 1999, still trying avidly to espouse Chuck Johnson's wellness lifestyle. Thank you for that. I'm a Latin teacher and a technology coach. One of my current projects as a technology coach is preparing an application for Ridgewood to join the newest cohort of districts in a statewide program called Innovate NJ that will challenge our district to adopt innovative practices while providing a network of support for the development of such ideas. Of course, we can all recognize the irony of this situation, that while I plan and envision an innovative future for Ridgewood schools, you members of the board appear to lack innovative instincts when negotiating with the REA. Your startling lack of business ingenuity perplexes us. If you were working with a contractor on a renovation in your house, you would also be perplexed if he told you he only knows one way or one size for replacing your doors. You might request that he find a different way or try something new. If you came home to your spouse from the doctor with a newly discovered gluten allergy, you would be perplexed if your spouse informed you that he could not or would not find new recipes to cook for you. You might request that your spouse find a different way or try something new. If you were prescribed a new medication by your doctor that gave you intolerable side effects, you would also be perplexed if your doctor told you she didn't care because it was the only medicine that she knew. You might request that she find a different way to treat you or try something new. We teachers innovate every day in our classrooms, which might be hard for you to see without students in the district. By the necessity of adapting and incorporating new curricula, we innovate with new standards. We innovate with new materials. We innovate on the spot, creating new ways of explaining the same thing to students who are not quite getting it yet. We all innovate constantly to maintain the successful and rigorous academics that we are charged with upholding. We are working daily to innovate, both by the obligations of academia and by the passion that drives us in the classroom. We teachers model innovation for our students. We show them that there are multiple paths for reaching the correct answer, that there are many ways of analyzing characters in novels, that there are multiple possible results from the same lab experiment. We don't hide behind prefabricated, allegedly rigid rules that preclude innovation. We need to encourage this innovation so that our students graduate to tackle such challenges as using new doors in place of your old ones, creating gluten-free meals, or suggesting new medicines. Now the onus is on you to innovate, to offer your teachers a fair contract, to create different budget allocations that allow for competitive pay increases and healthcare contributions that are actually commensurate to our pay. It is high time that you, as leaders in the students' community, demonstrate your capacity for and willingness to endorse innovation too. Thank you.
Josh Saladino, Ridgewood resident, educator of social studies at Ridgewood High School, head track and field coach at Ridgewood High School, president of Ridgewood High School Coaches Association, Ridgewood High School class of 1995, and parent of one in district and one on the way. What you've heard tonight is that you guys, you guys really at this point have destroyed the sense of community that Ridgewood once prided itself on. All the messages from the beginning until Stephanie's at the end center around this. I got into teaching 16 years ago and was excited to move to Ridgewood 15 years ago. I was fortunate enough to have wonderful educators like Helen Aslanides, Sherry Youngkin, and many others who stand behind me. I was also molded by my coaches. The joy in coaching I saw men like Mike Glynn, Chuck Johnson, and Mike Mullen have on a daily basis is what drove me to coach. I wanted to experience that joy. I wanted to empower your sons and daughters with toughness, with caring, and with teamwork. Things I learned on the athletic field for years. The pure joy that many of the coaches have at this point is gone. You heard that time and time again tonight, and that's on you. The collective years of people who spoke in education, the collective years of those in education who spoke tonight are many. The amount of people who have children in this district who spoke tonight are many. The amount of lives we impact on a regular basis is almost countless. Well, we may be numbers on a spreadsheet to Mr. Morgan, Ms. Brogan, and the rest of you. I've written letters of recommendation for some of your sons. So I can assure you, I'm not a number to one of them. Yeah, that's how you treat us, as numbers. And in spite of the lip service that this board continues to spew, and we'll spew again today, and we'll read again in the Ridgewood News this week, we've come to realize this is just words, meaningless words. Words that certainly run counter to the actions we see that you guys take on a regular basis in negotiations. You happily tell to all who will listen that Ridgewood is a model district and others should follow us. Yet when you have a chance to lead, you choose to hide. You continue to hide behind Chapter 44 and destroy morale, as opposed to trying to solve the problem by being creative that the CAP presents. Destroying community, destroying morale, enthusiasm, destroying culture. That's what we've heard from the people who spoke tonight. And at this point, that's the legacy of this board. What we've taken for granted for decades should not be taken for granted anymore. And the fact that it is taken for granted is a shame. There is time to change this, but that time is fleeting. It's time to come to the negotiation table and settle this contract.
Michael Yanone, Ridgewood High School, President, Ridgewood Education Association, parent of a student at Hawes, parent of a student at BF. Tonight, though, I will not be reading my own words. Tonight, I'm going to read a letter that was submitted to the Ridgewood News. To the editor, I am a candidate for the Ridgewood Board of Education running for the open one-year term in the April 17th schools election. I would like to address the ongoing failure of the BOE to reach an agreement with our teachers. My opponent has led the BOE negotiating team since the summer of 2010. He asserts that his role in these stalled negotiations is the reason he should be reelected. I believe that his record of no real progress in these critical negotiations is reason enough he should be replaced on the BOE. The negotiations are conducted under the strict rules of secrecy. I know no more about the issues than any other resident of the village. What I do know is that this old contract expired more than 9 months ago on June 30th, 2011, and that there is no indication that an agreement will be reached anytime soon. Thus far, the teachers have continued to work professionally under the expired contract, but there are signs that they are under increasing strain. This unhealthy situation potentially hurts our children and drives a wedge between the district and our teachers, our most valuable classroom asset. My opponent's reliance on rigidly following the suggested state framework for negotiating a new agreement delays resolution. While the fact-finding process that my opponent has followed might produce a contract, it might also be several months before the mediator actually issues a report. If the parties do not agree with the recommendations, the state's suggested timetable calls for a round of intense negotiations. Why wait before intensifying face-to-face negotiations? The state does not require that the board follow the fact-finder process. As management, it is the BOE's responsibility to set its own timetable. There is no legal reason hard bargaining cannot be initiated now. The oft-mentioned informal contacts with the union is no replacement for real negotiations. Once a new contract has been signed, there will necessarily be a healing process between the teachers and the district before everyone is again fully focused on our mutual goal, providing our children with an excellent education. The longer that process is drawn out, the longer this healing will take. To be clear, I do not advocate giving in to contract demands that are unfavorable to the district. The BOE must protect the interests of the village taxpayers in these negotiations, and our financial resources are very tight. The final contract must reflect these realities and be one we can all support. A policy of stalling the start of real negotiations, however, is in no one's best interests. As with many BOE challenges, we need fresh, creative thinking, not a continuation of business as usual. I will bring this perspective to the Board of Education. I ask for your vote on Tuesday, April 17th in the school elections. Signed, Jim Morgan, dated April 6th, 2012. So Jim, by your own standards, it's either time to actually start negotiating. The REA has been waiting now 12 months for a real counterproposal on health contributions. And as of a week ago, this board still has none to offer. Or, again, your words, it's time for you to leave the board. The decision's yours.
We will be at the negotiating table on February 29th.
Are we closed for comments now?
We are closed for comments now.
Well, before you all leave, I want to thank you all for pulling out my old letters. I stand by what. Oh, what's happening? Is that better?
Yeah.
Thank you for digging out my old letters. I stand by what I said before. This board has been trying on a number of occasions, as your leadership knows, to get together and informally and formally negotiate. Thank you. I do not intend to resign. I also intend to continue to try and come up with a settlement that works within the framework of the law, within the framework of the district's finances, to come up with something that's fair for everyone. We respect our teachers. We think our teachers are the best in the business. And we'll continue to feel that despite how many people want to claim that we don't respect you. We do respect you. We have limitations. As you all have limitations on your finances, the district has limitations on its finances. We are trying, we've tried a number of occasions to propose things to rearrange what is available to us to make it work. But the district does have to live within the state law. And that's not a negotiable item. Chapter 44 pushed upon the districts the limitation that we cannot raise our taxes more than 2% per annum over the prior year's number.
You have flexibility within the 2%.
We have very, very limited. We do not have the ability, I'm not going to debate this with you. Thank you. Listen politely to you guys for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
I just ask that
Laura.
on Monday night, when you come to the table, the association has come up with 3 different proposals medically. We have negotiated against ourselves. I am the chief negotiator for the REA, and I have worked tirelessly to try and come up with something that works. For 11 months, there has been nothing different from the Board of Education. You've come up 0.25% in salary. You're asking for part of our potential change in a medical plan, which would be $21.30 a paycheck in my pocket, which will be gone the moment the medical plan is used. You can't take savings out of our own pocket and act as if it's going to be a percentage towards our salary. It's not right, and you have not come up with anything creative to help us. We're asking for you on Monday night to do that. I refuse to negotiate against ourselves any longer. We all want this done.
Yes.
We have been offering something different. We've given options. You continue to stay on Chapter 78. The administrators will follow. Typically, they follow and get what we work so hard to negotiate for. I think it's time for the administrators, the RAA, to stand up here with us. You're next in line. It's time for the Board of Education to come on Monday night,
Laura.
and speak to Joel and get moving. It's over.
We would have a different perspective than you. We would have a different perspective than you. We think we have made movement. We will work together on with
I hope you
Joel.
come on Monday night with something for Joel to present to us.
Okay, comments from the public are complete. Oh,
I just want to ask one quick question. I didn't want to get in the way of, they have a lot of points they wanted to make. But I came for the kindergarten comments and I stayed to hear what they had to say. I have a kindergartner, an incoming kindergartner and a high school. And I just quickly wanted to ask, and I didn't want to get in their way. Is there other kindergarten program options that have been discussed? I know maybe you can't answer this now, other than going from a half day to a straight full day kindergarten program. Have we discussed any to 1:30 options within the?
Not at this point. We have
Okay.
not as a board.
And I mean, based on what they all had to say, I'm asking, how are we discussing a full day kindergarten program when they have no contract? I don't, and I mean, I follow this, but I follow some other things in town a little more, vehemently, but that doesn't make sense to me. So is that, I mean, I'm sure, is that a question that's been posed to you before?
Yes.
Okay. Is it possible to even implement a full kindergarten program?
Outside of the budget. So tuition would be outside of the budget.
Okay.
Or second question, and second questions are only allowed on new programs.
Right.
They are not allowed on regular support, things that you're already doing in the district. So you could not put out, for instance, an increase on teacher salary on a second question.
Okay. It seems like this settling this would just be the first thing.
Well, it is part of a whole process.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And is there some place to discuss perhaps the alternatives to going directly to full day?
Are you referring to like Wyckoff and Franklin Lakes?
I prefer the half day.
Dialogue with you.
No, I understand. I would say
But
I prefer.
Cheryl Best would be your point person.
And I'll reach out to you. I would say that I prefer, I mean, we're a tradition of excellence. I grew up here. My kids have all gone through here. I don't see how anything's changed. Either way, I would reach out to you to ask you about that. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to consent items.
Yes, I'd like to present for consideration A, attendance at conferences, B, administration, C, curriculum, and D, human resources.
I'll move it.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Jenny, you second it. Does anyone have any questions on A, B, C, or D? No retirements this meeting. Next time. Okay, if there are none, we'll go ahead.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Like to present for consideration E, finance.
I'd like to move it.
I'll second.
I think that's a song.
I'd like to move it.
Okay, I'd like to just thank Valley Hospital for $3,000 to help fund Super Science Saturday, which is this Saturday. An acceptance of a gift in kind from the Red Moms of 6 smart TVs valued at $3,600 to be used for the Red classrooms at the Glen School. Are there any questions on finance?
No. Ms. Krause? Yes. Mr. Morgan?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson? Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Brogan?
Yes. Approval of bills? That would be Jim and Christina.
Jim, would you like to go first since you're listed first there?
All right, I move the bills against my name.
Would someone like to second that?
All right, and for me, I'm going to do the same, short and sweet. All the bills with my name, I'm moving.
Someone like to second?
I'll second yours too. Thank you, Jenny. Ms. Krause? Yes. Mr. Morgan?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Ms. Brogan?
Yes. Okay, the board announcements. Super Science Saturday.
Yeah.
We're bringing Thomas Edison back to life, which is really science, isn't it?
I'm going to use the defibrillator.
Yes. An impersonator is coming and going to do a show at 9:30.
Oh, you should have told us.
I know.
Damn.
And very exciting, so will the Edison Museum come. And they are going to bring some of his inventions with them to show students. And right now, we probably have close to 150 students registered. We have 52 adult presenters. PSE&G's and Inventors of Tomorrow will come, and they have 2 classrooms to talk about wind energy and demonstrate that for kids. We have Inventor Kids inventions for kids coming, and they are going to do small projects with students, and petting zoo. It's really fabulous. We just made sure everybody had a space at the class at the high school. So I do encourage people to come and please, if you have time on Saturday between 9 and 1:30.
Where are they going to put that petting zoo?
They do it on the second floor. It's just small animals. Yeah, a couple of snakes, and probably I wouldn't be petting those, but you know, the kids like them. So just a couple of things on a legislative update, because the state budget, Christie presented his 2017 proposal for the state budget last week. His recommendation is for a $34.8 billion budget, which is a 3.1% increase over this year's budget. 38% of that budget is be directed to educational aid, which is about $13.3 billion. Out of that, $9.1 billion is for the direct aid to the 600 school districts, and you can see that the increase in that has resulted in, on an average, actually it's about $30,000 a district.
So what is the percentage increase in the education funding?
I see. Yes, I do have that. The 13.3 billion on education, it's an increase. I don't have the percentage, but you could figure that out. It's $548 million more than 2016.
But a lot of that was designated to certain districts.
Yes. Yes, a large proportion of that is still going to the Abbott districts. Special education aid, extraordinary special education aid will increase by $5 million, like I mentioned before, for fiscal year 2017. So that will be $170 million for extraordinary aid. The fiscal 2017 budget also includes $1 million to support the pilot demonstration of the Opportunity Scholarship Act program. I think this is his third year in putting that in. It doesn't seem to go anywhere. The legislature doesn't, it takes it out every year. So for Ridgewood, as you heard, it actually is an increase for us this year of $66,794. The budget, and then you saw Dan, and I won't go through it, but Dan sent us a list of bills that the Assembly or the Senate has proposed. Remember, this is a new legislative session this year and next year. And so you'll see a lot of new bills, or you'll see a lot of bills proposed and introduced, but those are bills that didn't get passed in years past. And so they have to reintroduce them to be able to discuss them, and lots of bills don't happen. But it's sort of interesting, again, requiring public schools to have cursive handwriting, develop dyslexia websites, to incorporate engineering. So many curriculum items were in that, and yet, again, they don't look at the budgetary aspects of it. So I just wanted to bring that up. Are there any board committee reports?
The financial board that circulated.
Yep, thank you for that. There's no one here for the comments from the public. I think we did that. Okay, we're going to look at the school calendar for 2017-18, and we're going to look at it tonight and be on the next board meeting on March 7th agenda. I know, thank you, Ojeda, for the minutes and for having that committee meeting. It appears there was quite a lot of consensus on this. Yeah. An interesting difference in the February, but in terms of flexibility, It's the
Mhm.
same amount of days.
Yeah.
It allows for that, a little different break of a 5-day break. Um, I didn't really have any big concerns about that. I had talked to Dan, I had some concerns about April, but you know, in 2 years, I don't know what that testing schedule is going to be. So I'm thinking that we'll have another run at it this year. We'll see if there's any reason we need to make sure there is more time allotted, not to the testing, but to the window. And if we feel that our window that we've narrowed this year works, then maybe we don't have to have that whole month set aside as the window. And we could narrow it, and so that vacation would work. I would want to try to make that decision if we were going to move April break by the end of this year, because for all the people who plan in advance, and this is our goal, was to get this calendar set so people could look at their future and decide how they wanted to spend their vacation time. So I don't want to prolong that agony for anybody. So I would
Alright.
say that after the testing this year, we just relook at that. But otherwise, it looks like a good calendar. I don't know if
It does.
anybody else has any other
We
thoughts.
start in September. We ended about the same time in June. We don't have graduation on a Monday. Consideration. Whoever did this touched all the bases.
It was actually nice, Ojeda, to see that
Pardon me?
list.
Pardon me?
We did set your parameters in
Mm-hmm.
place. So
Yeah.
That's what I mean, that the parameters were definitely
I think maybe that made it help. I'm hoping that made it
That
helpful.
made a huge
It did,
difference
yeah.
because there was just, sort of what your goal was.
Right.
And
The only thing is that
being
we
there
did
before,
discuss
I tell
that
you.
you would have the flexibility of changing the April
Yes.
break should the
Mhm.
testing change.
Right.
Because we can't anticipate that.
Right. Well, my only concern was if the change is going to be caused by just having to expand that window because for some reason our smaller window didn't work, I would like to revisit the calendar this year for that year. That's my only thing. Otherwise, I'm fine with, what it looks like.
Okay.
Great.
Ojeda, there was other discussion there in reference to just the length of time in between the two breaks also from February to April.
Yes.
Was that as important as the testing window or how did that?
They were concerned there was 11.5 weeks in between.
Yeah.
So we moved it down 1 week to give it less time. Because we were trying to give them an even span on
in
the
between
other
the
side.
two.
What they did do is attached it from Easter, though.
We originally thought. about
Originally
that.
had
Yeah.
Easter in there, so it made it a 10-day break, 11-day.
Made it a little
Right.
longer.
Right.
Yeah.
They decided they didn't want it. They felt that this was better for the kids.
We're deviating from the Eisenhower, which is not Mrs. and Dwight Eisenhower. It's the Mrs. Eisenhower, who was principal at GW, who came up with this break every, February at this, and you had to have this many weeks. And we've always, for many years,
From your memo, it didn't seem like there was any serious concerns. No one on the committee wanted to draw this out. Good.
Okay, so then,
Just
Better than last year.
I'm for Ojeda, one more question about the convention discussion. Did that just end where
Not
it
sure if it's
was?
something we want to bring up now.
Thank you.
I think that
It's
as we
brought up
move,
by them.
I think as we move forward, we want to take a look at that. And our next calendar will be 18-19,
Yes.
right?
That's correct.
2018.
Next year.
Right. Let's move to acceptance of minutes. I move acceptance of minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. No other business. And I make a motion to go into executive session. Let me just get the reading for that. I hereby move that the board go into executive session pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12 to discuss matters pertaining to negotiations. The minutes of this closed session will be released when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. May I have a second?
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Where our next board meeting is March 7th.